All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. This video is dedicated to everybody who still hasn't found that special someone who hopefully isn't a heartbreaker yet. So many songs out there, so many movies made about heartbreak. And it's also dedicated to some people in this community, and maybe it's even more people than I know. But we've had two gatherings of the Truth Seekers this year, or I should say in the past year, Oklahoma City and New York. I guess you could say there was a third in Buffalo. I guess you could say there was more than that, really, because we went all across the nation. But just, a couple big events this year that quite a few people came out to. And out of two of those events, there came some romance in the community. And sadly, those romance fizzled out. And with the romance fizzling out, so did kind of the involvement of those people with the community. The heartbreak made them separate themselves from the community. And there's actually a gentleman out there in the world right now who wants to kill me because, the relationship he had didn't work out. And it's okay. I'm sure as time goes on, the heart will mend. But, yeah, for all the young people out there, or maybe you're not even young and you still haven't figured it out, it's not good to play with people's hearts. The guy who is scorned right now, he feels that the woman seduced him, made him fall in love, and then bounced as soon as he did fall in love. So now he just feels terrible. In fact, he's posting openly in social media that he wants to die. And I'm sure a lot of people listening have been there before. I've told this story before. I had a friend in the past. Some people say, guys and girls can't be friends. And I actually did have a friend in the past who was a female. And, there was a mutual attraction, but she had dated a friend of mine in the past. And I always told her, I said, I don't think I should date you because you're my friend's ex. But anyhow, her and I maintained a relationship anyway because we had similarities and saw the world in similar ways. Anyhow, when she was in college, she became a resident advisor. And if you don't know what a resident advisor is, it's kind of the person that looks over the floor of the dorm. And while she was the resident advisor, one of the freshmen came to her, and he was all heartbroken. The love of his life, girl he'd been dating there in college, she'd just broken up with him. And she kind of just giggled and told me it's no big deal. There's plenty of fish in the sea. You'll find another one. And don't take it too hard. And she didn't realize how upset he really was, but she found out about an hour later because he actually went back to his dorm room and killed himself. And she felt terrible about that because that she was the last person he talked to before he took his life. And then she always thought, I'm sure it's still on her mind today. She probably wishes she would have said something different or taken it more seriously. But that's the thing, love. When people fall in love with someone, if things fall apart, you don't exactly know how that person's going to react. And in our society, there's so many scorned people walking around. It's why we're witnessing the war of the sexes at this moment in history, because of what culture's done. And it's gotten really bad in the last few decades. From the 90s, late 90s on, I would say, just so much of the pop culture, the music, is teaching negative behavior about relationships. The predominant music, especially for younger people, has become hip-hop music, and part of the commercial hip-hop scene is kind of this attitude of, go out and score with as many people as you can, and don't worry if you're still in your best friend's girl, that's bonus points. And people are listening to this and getting influenced by it, and again, it's doing disasters for society. again, for all the young people out there, women, you know, how do I put this the right way? I don't even know if it's true anymore, actually, as I'm about to say it, because men are becoming so much like women. But from when I was growing up, you know, I'm nearly 40 years old, born in 1983. Not the oldest person in the world, but older than a lot of people now living in it. But women, their hearts are so delicate, so sensitive. Women fall in love so easily. And, you know, I was guilty of it as a young person. A lot of us as young men, we're not looking for a long-term relationship. What we're looking for is a physical relationship. And, you know, if we're attracted to a woman, that's who we want to have a physical relationship with. And the thing is, when you become physically intimate, you know, that's when those love juices really start falling for women, or I should say flowing for women. And, you know, you might be involved intimately with a woman and have no intention of being with her in the long run. Your mindset might be, I'm only going to be with her as long as I am until the next prettiest girl comes along who I'm even more physically attracted to. And that's how a lot of us are as people, especially at a younger age, in terms of how we deal with our relationships. And, you know, when I was a young person, I knew that was wrong, but I also, you know, that's just what was in me. And those were the ideas planted in my head as well. And, you know, temptation and lust are a real thing, but I really do wish I could rewind my life and all the places where I made those mistakes. I wish I could take them all back. And again, I just remember like women whose hearts I broke and scorned, and, you know, I think of this one girl who, and again, it's not, when I look back, I couldn't just blame myself, you know. Again, it's a two-way street when you become intimately involved, but I just remember this one girl just pouring her heart out to me and how much she loved me and how much she wanted to be with me. But the thing was, I was very much attracted to her, but I just knew she wasn't the right person for me because, you know, her intellect wasn't high enough and she was just too simple. And anyhow, I think back now and I just wonder, like, what did I do? What kind of life path or how did I affect her life path, you know? I probably just planted a bad seed in her, you know, made her more distrusting of me. Or at the same time, I mean, it is on the individual, right? She could have learned from that experience and been like, okay, I'm only going to be with a guy if I know he really cares about me and really loves me for all of me, not just my physical beauty. And again, I think this is something that, because, you know, the kind of conversation I'm having right now, nobody ever really sat me down and talked to me about things in this way. My older sister, who was like my second mom, she'd always say to me, you know, don't cheat on girls. Don't cheat on girls, because she'd been cheated on by her boyfriends. And it was good hearing that from my sister because it made me not a cheater. You know, there's plenty of opportunities I had in my life where I could have cheated, but I knew that was the wrong thing to do. So I stayed away from cheating. But yeah, I wish, you know, I wish I could say that the only person I ever became physically, intimately involved with was, you know, the person I'd been with for all of my life. And, you know, it's almost that way for Sweet Lady, you know. And I'm so glad I found Sweet Lady. And, you know, Sweet Lady comes from a different culture, and sadly, it had to meet. For me, it had to take meeting a woman from a different culture to, you know, say, this is the person I definitely want to be with. This is the ideal human being for me. But, yeah, I guess my advice to all young people out there, or people that are looking for the right relationship. When I was younger, I guess that was part of it too. When I was younger, I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think there really was just the one. But, you know, now that I've met Sweet Lady, her and I have been together for a long time. And, you know, I never get tired of Sweet Lady. You know, she's on the same intellectual level. There's a few things that I wish she was a little bit different in, but, she's intelligent, she's funny, she's attractive to me. It's like, if you're going to become physically involved with somebody, well, that's just my advice. If you want to have a good lasting relationship, you got to make sure these people are checking all the boxes. It can't just be physical attraction, because that will tire out. If all it is physical attraction and there's no intellectual connection, it's ultimately not going to work in the long run. And I think the other part of what I need to communicate in this is, if you do meet somebody and they are checking all the boxes for you, but then they break up with you for whatever reason, or they say this isn't going to work out, of course that will hurt, but, maybe easier said than done, but you shouldn't ever become so... Again, heartbreak's a real thing, but your reaction shouldn't be to become suicidal. And it does seem that does happen in a good amount of people. The first thought is they just want to die. Without this person who they've fallen in love with, they'd rather not be living. And again, there's a gentleman right now posting on his social media. He's about the same age as I am, and he just wants to die right now. And before he dies, he wants to kill me. And again, why does he want to kill me? Because he met this woman through coming out to New York for the Truth Seeker gathering, and he's saying, had he not gone out there for what I was doing, he never would have met this woman who stole his heart. And, if that guy's out there, again, a lot of people can identify with how you feel right now, but remember, there are plenty of fish in the sea. There's another cute girl out there who's on a similar path. And, you keep your mind in the right place, you'll find that person. The last girl I dated before Sweet Lady, again, Sweet Lady's name's May, but I just like to call her Sweet Lady. The last girl I dated before May, I was in a relationship, and then I met this girl, and I broke up with the girl I was in a relationship with because, again, I already knew that relationship, it wasn't going to be the long-term relationship. We had things in common, but there were too many differences. And so I broke up with the girl I was with because I knew this other girl was interested in me. And to be honest, I was more attracted to her. She was more intelligent. She was more athletic. She was super active, running and the gym, and she was more like me at the time. And so I just knew that was a better fit. And her and I were dating, and everything was great. And after about a month of dating, I hadn't told her that I'd broken up with another girl and to meet her, and I just brought it up. I said, by the way, I never told you this, but I was actually dating somebody, and she was like, what? So you just left somebody just cold like that just to start dating me? And that actually just busted up our whole relationship. And I thought, well, what I did, I wasn't cheating on her. But anyway, that bothered me at the time, because I was like, okay, everything was going so well in this relationship. And then I tell her that, I'd broken up with this. But anyway, I kind of understood in her mind. After I thought about it for a while, I was like, well, she's probably been with other guys who left her for other girls. And now that she just heard me say, well, I just left somebody else to be with her. Now she's probably thinking in her mind, I'll probably just be with her until I find a girl I like even more. And then I'll be out of there. So, I had to think that one through for a while because I was dumbfounded at the time. But yeah, ultimately, I realized she probably had a good point. And leaving me or saying she didn't want to date anymore after she found that out about me, I thought, well, maybe that was the right call after all, because in a way, that is kind of how I've been. I've just always kind of moved on when I found something better. But at the same time, I always was looking for the right one, the most ideal one. And after that happened, I didn't date anybody for a while. And then eventually I met Sweet Lady, and I said, I think this might be the most perfect person for me. And the thing that really impressed me about Sweet Lady out of everything was just how direct she was. I'd never met a woman who was so direct. I mean, she wasn't playing any games. She was saying exactly what she thought. and just making me laugh about it. I was like, well, I'll never know, not know what this one's thinking. So anyhow, the game of love, you guys, my advice is know what you really want, be honest with people, be direct, definitely don't be a cheater, and try not to be a heartbreaker, but at the same time, if somebody breaks your heart, don't lose all hope, don't lose your mind, don't become suicidal, and don't start blaming other people for it either, But yeah, there is a world of jaded people out there, and we all know the terms that come out of that: baggage. That person's got a lot of baggage, and people who have a lot of baggage, they've been playing the relationship merry-go-round, and I'm sure a lot of people, it's not their fault, It's the culture. Look at the chat. Somebody says, "Stop simping." Yeah, just these words that come out of culture. Simping. That wasn't a word when I was growing up, but because it's not my generation, I don't exactly. I couldn't say that I exactly understand what this term simping is. But, that is the other thing in relationships. You got to make sure it's balanced. It can't just be a one-way street where you're getting used and abused. There should be, there should be a balance. You're not doing everything to carry the relationship, The other advice I would give people is, if you break up with somebody, probably stay broken up. I've done that before too. You break up with somebody and then they come back into your life and you try to do it and you just realize all the same problems are there. There are plenty of fish in the sea. And this idea of like, if somebody wants to give me the definition on simping, I'll see how much I agree, but I hear people using that term all the time. Oh man, Sage 0 MMA. Oh man, yeah. See, that's the thing. So what Sage 0 just like in a way, I don't feel bad using that guy as an example because, but at the same time, there's a guy, he used to have a YouTube channel. I don't know if he still has it anymore. His name's Jeffrey Daughtry. He used to be a minister, and his wife ended up having an affair with somebody else in the church, and because that happened, he abandoned Christianity and seemingly also abandoned like all moral obligations, because the guy is kind of skeezy, but I'm sure his heart was broken and his world was shattered because, again, not only did he lose his wife, he lost his faith. But again, it's just like, scorned people. You just don't know how they're going to react. And of course, I did meet him after that happened to him. And if you guys don't know who that is, I did a few streams with him. And he always seemed all right, but then all of a sudden he just started attacking me out of nowhere. And who knows what's going on in his mind, Maybe he sees that I have a functional relationship, and that makes him have the feelings he has for whatever, it's just like, you can't even make sense of people. But I guess that's the other point I'm trying to make, you guys. I titled the video, what did I write? I said, life advice. Don't play with someone's heart. You'll damage them, you, and the world. And I think that is the right title, because essentially, if we are scorning other people and making them have resentment in their heart and, negative feelings, that negativity, it's going to carry with them, and it's probably going to cause problems in their next relationship and other aspects of their life. And I guess it's how we get to a world where we are right now. I mean, again, this culture of, sleep around, still your best friend's girl. It's resulted in the culture of single mothers and family court and child support payments and a society of broken values. It's just like I was saying the other day, I had this woman, she was just like pouring her heart out in the chat, or not in the live stream chat, but where you leave comments in the video. And I think she's just hoping somebody will read her comment out there and come save her. But she said, I'm a single mother with 3 children. I didn't want to get the jab, so I lost my job at the hospital. I'm swimming in debt. I'm losing everything. I don't know how I'm going to keep a roof over my children's house. And I'm just waiting for Jesus to come save me, was essentially what her comment said. And yeah, I mean, there was a lot of steps to how she got there, right? Single mother with 3 children. And I don't know if they're all the same father or 3 different fathers or what it is, but yeah, it's just, I guess that's another thing I should say in this video. If you've had any children with a woman, you need to provide support for that child. I mean, to me, like, if I ever got a girl pregnant, and that's something I was always real careful about, that was something my mom was always real worried about. My mom, she had my sister when she was a young teenager. She thought I'd do the same thing. My mom, I think she's out in the chat right now somewhere, but growing up, my mom, she just let me stay out. She knew I'd come home. I was responsible. But she didn't worry about me staying out at night from like the youngest of ages until I got to be about 15 years old. Then she started to get real worried because, that's the age I was having girlfriends and being over at girls' houses. Man, my mom, she never came hunt me down until I was about 15 years old. Banging on the girlfriend's door. What's going on in there? Get out here right now. I knew what was going on. She's like, she's worried I'm going to end up like her with a child as a teenager. But yeah, for any young people that are out there listening, the youngest person I know that's in this community's truth does not exist, who's 18 now, but yeah, just, I'd also encourage people this day and age to, when you start having girlfriends and relationships at the high school age, you're just setting yourself up for a world of drama and pain. And there's so many people that know that story. And just to tell a real story from when I was a teenager, same girl's house, my mom, she'd come over banging on the door late at night. Get home, it's too late to be out with her. But when I had that girlfriend, she's like my real first serious girlfriend. My best friend at the time, he didn't like how much time I was spending with her. Him and I were real good friends growing up, played sports together, went to school together, spent a lot of time together. And when I was with her, he came out to me, and again, the only reason I'm telling this story is just to remind of like how relationships can bring drama and just. But anyway, he got jealous of how much time I was spending with her, and he said to me that he was thinking about killing himself, and he'd realized he was gay and in love with me. And I said back to him, I said, "How can you be gay?" He had a girlfriend as well. Keep in mind, he had a girlfriend as well, but. Anyhow, it was the weirdest thing, and since he said he was suicidal, I told the girl I was dating at the time, which also, my mom wanted me to spend less time over there anyhow, but I told her that, I was going to put our relationship on pause because my buddy Adam, he was in need of more attention, and that's what I did. And the thing that I could have never expected was when I told her that I was going to stop, put the relationship on the back burner to spend more time with my friend who needed the attention. What blew my mind was they ended up hooking up. And I was just like, wow, I didn't see that one coming. But after that happened, I just said to him, I said, well, I hope you're still not suicidal, man, but I said, I got to take a break from you too, because, I said, like, I don't even know what to think right now. You're making my head crazy. And then the funny thing was about that, like I said, is he had a girlfriend, and so how do you think his girlfriend wanted to retaliate? His girlfriend wanted to retaliate by hooking up with me, which I did not do. But again, this is the world of love and relationships and intimacy and payback and revenge. And again, what I would encourage people is when these situations arise in your life, you got to figure out how to just take the high road and not lose your own mind over it. And again, for all the young people out there looking for love, good people are hard to come by. And, if you take your time before you become intimate, like they did in the old days, again, I think all those things are kind of just like out with the past. It's like over-sexualized culture. Everybody's sleeping with everybody at a younger and younger age. And I imagine it, as the trend continues, we'll just see society fall apart more and more. But anyhow, my advice for all the young people, for all the people that are trying to find that right person, all the people in the world who are lonely and think the right one isn't out there, again, have the right idea in your head. The right person is out there, and you can manifest your reality. You can manifest the right person into your life. And again, I've told this story before, but just in terms of manifesting, one of the weirdest things that ever happened to me is, again, this is before I met Sweet Lady. This is when I was, I was like in my mid-20s, dating a lot at the time, and I was with my good friend at the time, and I said to him, the next relationship I'm going to be in, it's going to be a Hispanic woman, and she's already going to have kids. And he was like, why? I was like, well, I find Hispanic women very attractive, and I feel like if she has kids already, she's going to be settled down, she's going to be looking for a good man, and, she's not going to be about the games anymore. She's going to appreciate it if a good man comes into her life. Well, it was like a week later. I meet this woman. She's a Hispanic woman. She's just a little bit older than me. She's like a year or two older than me. She had 2 little kids, a boy and a girl. And, the little boy came up to me and he wanted to play catch. And I was playing catch. And then his little sister wanted to play catch. And, the woman, she's like, wow, you're really good with my kids. And what weirded me out, though, is I'd found out that her husband had just committed suicide. So that's why she was single with 2 children. And anyway, it spooked me so much, I didn't even pursue anything. But it happened so fast after I said that to my buddy. I was like, I totally just manifested that whole situation in meeting her and her children. And anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up too is just, if you do put ideas out there, they can come to you. So, put the right idea out there that you actually really want, and, stay on the path and be patient if you need to. But also, if you do meet the right person, don't rush into things. Don't rush into things. And intimacy, it's the thing that can cause everything to fall apart if it happens too fast. Sometimes I always like to go back to the 80s hip-hop song by Houdini, Friends. There's even a section of that song about what happens if you get intimate too fast. In the song, he talks about becoming lovers before they even became friends. But yeah, heartbreak, scorning people, cheating on people. It's the thing that just brings down the whole vibration of the world. And ultimately, I think, if you really want to tear it down and ask how we got to where we are at this day and age, think about it. Think about how broken up the average American household is. How broken up is the average American household? It's got to be more common at this day and age for a child to be raised in a single-parent household, and likely by the mother. And again, there's a lot of reasons for that. I think naturally children are more attached to their mothers since we grow up inside of our mom for the first 9 months. But also the state does favor the mother being the parent. The system's kind of created to make sure it goes that route. And I think there's a reason they want that too. I think they want the emasculated, society. And when men are raised only by a woman, there's a lot better chance they're going to be emasculated. But how did it happen? How did it really happen that the household became so broken down? And again, where did this trend begin? The single parent household. Kind of happened with the baby boomer generation, right? You really look at what's gone on in society: entertainment, music, suggestive behavior, the sexual revolution of the 60s. And obviously that was a real thing. My mom was a teenager in the 60s, and her and pretty much all of her other sisters became single moms. I'm sure there were a lot of single moms created in the 60s. And the trend's just gotten worse because, even if you go back and listen to the music from that generation, obviously it was becoming a lot more sexual, but from the 60s up to now, it's 10,000 times worse. And there wasn't any songs in the 60s about, bang out every girl you possibly can and still your best friend's girl. Now there's 500 songs like that made per year. And here we are in the broken world. So somebody says Tavistock Institute. Yeah, very possibly. Again, that was established in 1947, the same year as the CIA. But somehow there has to be a revolution of values. And yeah, again, all I can say is, speaking from experience, I have regrets for all of the hearts I broke and, all of the women I planted a bad seed with. So yeah, I used to think marriage was an impossible thing. But again, if you find the right person, I see how you can spend a lifetime with a person. And again, in this world, to survive a long relationship, you have to be able to resist temptation too, because there's a lot of temptation in this world. Again, you got to be disciplined in so many ways, relationships and otherwise, with your health, with your money. But yeah, if the guys out there who knows who I'm talking about at the beginning of the video, and there's actually two guys who might tune in. Again, you can't blame other people either for the pitfalls of your relationships. It might be that it might have been that person it could have been the person who you were with's fault who broke your heart, but you can't blame other people. Even if it was their fault, you just gotta, suck it up, learn from the experience, and review what happened in the relationship. Were there red flags? Were there signs? But yeah, don't make it be the reason either that you quit on finding the right person in this world. So again, if you got here late, there were two people that were good members of this community, and they both found some romance through the get-togethers we had this year, and the relationships didn't work out for whatever reason. And both those people are blaming me because they would have never met the person that broke their heart had they not come out to support what we were doing. You know? And yeah, it's just, that's not the right way to go about things, and it's not a mentality that's going to help you get to where you want to be in the future. So I look up at the chat. Daria says, my ex dumped me, and honestly, he did me a huge favor. And yeah, getting out of relationships can be good, because sometimes you're just in a relationship that's just toxic, and you know, it's just holding back your life. Another relationship I was in my life, it was almost 2 years long, and I knew after 3 months I should have got out of it, but I stayed in it because I met that person's parents, and the parents told me that they'd never seen her doing so well, and I'd brought so much stability to her life, and, you know, so that was on my mind. And, you know, you start caring about people when you're in a relationship, and you want them to do well, and when you hear something like that, you're like, wow, I didn't realize I was having that good of an impact on them. But the thing was that person just had so much just like negativity and just like disappointment and sorrow and depression, and it was based on things that had happened to him in the past. And by the way, they were an adopted child, so the parents who told me that were their adoptive parents. But yeah, it was just so much for me to deal with and manage, and you know, I was doing it for their sake, but you know, I just realized that they were never going to get over their past, and there was always going to be this darkness that just overshadowed everything. And I still remember the day that I told them that we had to go our separate ways. They clawed me in the face. I had some nice claw marks on my face, and I thought, God, oh man. But I mean, it made it even easier to say, all right, you got to get out. You got to get out. So yeah, and I did nothing but good for that person, but then when it was time to go, it was just too much, so then I got the physical assault. And, you know, that can happen, because all the emotions come out. But then after it happened, I thought, you know, I knew around the 3-month mark that this was probably too much, and I need to get out of this relationship. So yeah, you get sucked in because, I mean, that's what happens, right? You meet somebody, and you call it what? Honeymoon behavior. Everyone's on their best behavior. They're hiding all their flaws. You're just seeing the best parts of them. And then once people start to get comfortable, some stuff starts to come out. And like I said, at the 3-month mark, I saw the red flags. By the 6-month mark, I was like, I got to get out of this relationship. But I stayed in the thing for almost another 1.5 years. And I think back, I'm just like, I wish I could go back and do that over too. I wish I could go back and do that over too, because I lost a good 1.5 years of my life the way I see it looking back. So, and that's why people start doing crazy things in relationships too. It's like my cousin. She's a little bit younger than me. She moved out to Seattle while I was living out there to go to school. And, you know, she was telling me one night that she has trouble getting out of relationships when she knows that they're over. So what she always does is she always sleeps with another guy. That's how she breaks up with all of her boyfriends. When it's time to go over, she cheats. And I think that's another common thing in our society. You know, it's too direct to break up. So instead, and then the thing she would do is she said she would leave clues that she cheated. So like that's just like a totally like passive aggressive move. But you know what was funny is she was dating a guy in Seattle while I was out there, and that's exactly what she ended up doing. She ended up cheating on him, and what's funny is the guy she cheated with, she's now married to, so I guess she found the one. But yeah, it's just, you know, people are funny. So imagine that you were dating her, right? Imagine you're dating that girl and you think everything's fine, and then she cheats on you. I mean, as a guy, that's going to make you feel extra lousy. And you probably would have felt better if she just said to you, you know what, I'm sorry, this isn't the right relationship, I got to move on. That also wouldn't have felt good, but I'm sure you survey 100 guys, I'd imagine that all 100 guys would say, I'd rather be broken up with that way than be cheated on. But why does she cheat? Because it's easier for her to do it that way. You know, she's doing what's convenient to her. And what makes me laugh about my cousin is she's a therapist now. I'm just thinking, how are you going to be a therapist? You can't even directly break up with people. You got to cheat on them. But anyway. Yeah, I'm just looking up at the chat and just absorbing a comment as I look up. The first thing that jumped out to me is Truth Slay says, it's not just men, right? It might be more common with men. Men try to impress women instead of being themselves at the beginning. Yeah, if you're trying to be something that you aren't to attract a partner, obviously you're doing that in a way out of desperation, right? Because you feel that whoever you actually are is not good enough to attract this person. Somebody out there listening right now, because they do this, and they're saying, well, the reason I have to do that is because these women have unrealistic expectations. Okay. Instead of trying to be something that you aren't to get with a woman that has unrealistic expectations, and let's be honest, like when this scenario is happening, the only reason that guy's trying to get with that woman is because he's physically attracted to her, right? And anyhow, instead of even being in that scenario, if a woman has unrealistic expectations, then just move on. Because there's going to be a woman out there whose real expectations are realistic. But yeah, again, that is a true thing about our society. And again, that comes back to the whole values thing, just how superficial we've become, right? We're more about the materialism and the status. I mean, there's a part of women that naturally seek security in men, and that's why, you know, bigger, stronger men are oftentimes a lot more attracted to women. And again, for all the guys out there that are having trouble attracting a life partner, you know, spend more time in the gym. You know, get your body in the best of shape it can be in. That's attractive to a woman, and it's a good thing to have. And, you know, and also advice that I should take myself, when you do secure that relationship because the woman's attracted to you because you're physically appealing. And again, I wouldn't say that's so much materialistic. I'd say that's like there's a real benefit to that. There's all sorts of reasons that you'd want a physically stronger partner. Protection, they're healthier, they're going to live longer, they care about themselves, they show initiative. But again, a lot of people, when they do get in a relationship, once the relationship's secured, they tend to get sometimes, and I could even say I'm guilty of this right now, they tend to get more lazy and they don't take as good a care of themselves as they once did, you know. But yeah, again, if you find that you're insufficient right now to attract women in this world, what can you do to change that situation? You can take better care of yourself. You can do things to work on your confidence. Because again, that's another thing that women are attracted to. Can you maintain eye contact? Can you maintain a conversation? Can you control yourself? Can you come across as authentic? Are you authentic? Are you being yourself? Again, if you're being fake, I mean, 99% of women are going to see through that. And yeah, again, if you can do those simple things, show that you take care of yourself, show that you can have a conversation. And again, having a conversation with a woman's really not that hard. Women like to talk, just like ask normal questions. And, you know, I don't know if it's changed, but like some guys can't control themselves. Like on the first date, they're already hinting at like how ready they are to have sex. Some women might go for that, but most women aren't. I mean, and if you didn't know that already as a guy, now you do. But that's also not a thing to do, you know. If the woman's attracted to you, believe me, it won't be long before the intimacy comes. But there's a gentleman called me right now, but I know he's not watching the stream. But yeah, again, I forget who the guy was that died about a year back. It was big news when he died out of nowhere. His thing was, coaching people how to be successfully intimate with women and mostly making it all about money and status. And again, the kind of advice he was giving is the kind of advice that it will help you with some women, like meeting certain types of women that are out at the club and, having one-night stands and this type of thing. But that's not the kind of advice or outlook you should really have if you want to have a good relationship. And again, if you want to have a real relationship with somebody, you have to be, again, yourself. You cannot pretend to be something you're not. You can't lie about yourself, your status, your job, your income. Just be who you are. And again, the other thing that's also helpful in attracting women is if you can have a sense of humor, if you can crack a joke here and there, make them smile, make them laugh. But yeah, again, selfishness. That is the thing that will sabotage your relationship. And, if you are in a relationship and, you're tired of it or there is somebody else you've met in your life that you think's a better fit, just have the directness in yourself to break up and try to do it in a way that's not like horrendous, Breaking up, isn't there a song, Breaking Up, It's a Hard Thing to Do? I forget how that goes, but I'm pretty sure that's a song as well. But you just got to do it. And it's better than being passive-aggressive about things or like my cousin's way, cheating and leaving clues and... What my cousin did to the last guy, people really do this stuff, and it's just what she did was she purposely texted the guy she was with like it was a wrong text, sending it to somebody else. And it's just like, come on, But yeah, just if you're tired of a relationship, instead of breaking the heart, just say, listen, I like what we had, but this is and there should be, if you're leaving somebody, there should be just a simple reason that you can tell them why, and it's not gonna make them happy, but it's better than, again, cheating, which is what so many people do. So. Mrs. K says, a great husband puts his wife and family first. A great wife put her husband and family first. It's awesome when you have your life partner. There is someone out there for those who are looking. Yeah, here, have a wrench, Mrs. K. Anybody who leaves a good comment in my chat gets a wrench. But I've never seen Mrs. K before. But yeah, and that is how it is. And, just with regards to her saying that, the worst thing that I feel that I ever did to this community was back in 2020 when I was going to go to Washington, D.C., and I had to cancel a week before I was supposed to be there because sweet lady, she had kind of a nervous breakdown over it. And, I doubt sweet lady would have left me if she might have. I don't know. You don't know exactly what would have happened, but she was really upset. And she did not want me to go, and she was all broken up over it. And, it was frustrating for me because at first she was okay with me going, but then things changed. And, there's a woman who used to be helpful in this community, And now she just slanders me all over online because of me not going to Washington, D.C. But the funny thing is about that woman is, who slanders me now because I did that, is she doesn't have a good relationship with her own husband. And, you guys don't really know who it is, so it's anonymous, but she pretty much spends all of her time in the shed smoking weed while her husband's inside watching, TV and sports, and he doesn't really care about the truth, and she cares about the truth. But I just find that funny that she should understand that I'm in a long-term relationship, and sometimes you have to make a sacrifice, or you have to give up something that you really want to keep the relationship right. And I had to make that choice, and, even my mom, my mom's in the chat right now, but that was probably the most embarrassing thing that ever happened. My mom called in after that, and my mom was like, you should break up with Sweet Lady, and she's holding you back from what, and it's just like, Mom, because again, my mom's out there, and she is my mom, and she means well, but my mom has not had success with relationships in her life. And, it's just like, again, if you want to be successful in your relationship, it's a lot easier if you're totally on the same page. So again, when I met Sweet Lady, I wasn't doing this work, right? So that's the one thing that's really changed in the time we've been together. Back then I had a business and worked for myself and, wasn't putting out information online and generating all sorts of hate mail and, people doing weird stuff and leaving dead squirrels at the doorstep and crashing through the house on Christmas Eve after online threats. But because her and I have a lot in common, we've been able to, and as time's gone on, we've been able to smooth out all those things. And of course, ended up being able to do the road trip that I had to cancel back then. But, yeah, it's just, I guess the other part I'm trying to make is you got to be careful who you get your advice from. And, my mom, she has good advice in certain things, but when it comes to relationships, she's not the person to get advice from because she's never had really successful relationships in her own life. And she's not able to admit that, even though everybody who knows her could tell you that's true. She doesn't get along with any of her siblings. None of her intimate partners have stayed with her. She's lost all of her jobs. That's how she ended up working for herself cleaning. She has a lot of problems getting along with people. And my sister, who recently went through her divorce because she found out her husband was cheating, my brother-in-law, instead of just owning that, he ruined their relationship by cheating, he also blames my mom. He says my mom's part of the problem too, that my mom drove him nuts. And there might actually be an element of truth to that because, my mom and Sweet Lady don't get together or get along, and that's because my mom's also put ideas that I should leave Sweet Lady for this person. If you guys know Allie Netvoid, when she came out to Seattle, to do the documentary that she put together, she got to meet my mom. My mom came with me that day. She wanted to come up, and it was my birthday. But then my mom said that I should leave Sweet Lady for her, and I'm just like, Mom, you shouldn't be saying things like that. Come on. That's not what you say. It's like totally inappropriate. But yeah, again, some people will also put the wrong ideas in your head. And ultimately, you are you, and you know what is best for you at the end of the day. You know what's best for you. But don't just be selfish and only do what's best for you. If you're in a relationship with somebody else, you also got to think about their interests, Because as I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, if I'm going to drive across the country to Washington, D.C. while she's like this, what's going to be on my mind the whole time? I'm going to be like feeling bad, being in a bad spirit the whole time. So anyway, relationships aren't easy things. They take a lot of management and time and care and concern. And yeah, they're a great responsibility. And I think that's also kind of where we screw up too, because, here, just to go back to just a human anatomy thing, and go back in time, not in the time we live in right now, but just to go back in time. I always make this point about human sexuality. Again, women start having their period, well, it seems like at this day and age even earlier and earlier, but when I was growing up, I think it was still from the time my mom was a child until about the time I was a child growing up, average girl probably starts having her period around age 13 or 14. And that's around the same time that a guy starts waking up with morning wood, right? An erection, a boner, whatever you want to call it, pitching a tent. So from the Creator, it's obvious that we start to get, our sexual capability and our ability to reproduce at about that age, 13 to 14. And at this day and age, you'd sound insane to be like, oh yeah, you should go out and start having a sexual relationship and start popping out some little ones at age 13 or 14. But there was once upon a time before this, what we call civilization and going to school and then getting a job and paying taxes. There was a time where, again, we lived out in nature with the tribe. And there was something about producing offspring to have some little ones to help you out with the survival goals, the harvesting of food, the hunting of food, the maintaining a shelter. And I think that's another thing that we have to battle with, having this human anatomy where we start to have sexual feelings at a young age. And again, just to embarrass myself, I remember when I was a freshman in high school and we had assigned seating in the math class, and it was the first time I ever struggled in a math class because my assigned seating, put me right next to like the most beautiful girl who was a junior, so she's 2 years older, so she's more physically developed, and she was just beautiful, like just perfect body, beautiful face, and like I was having to like duct tape my pants before I went to math class, so I didn't embarrass myself. And, that's also once upon a time where there was all boys school and all girls school, so you didn't have these sexual distractions. But yeah, I still remember that math class. Mr. Rye could not focus, and, that's the age, That's the age. Your body's telling you it's ready to have sex, it's on your mind. But you're not supposed to be doing that in our society. So, anyway, that's like where all the problems start happening though, right? Because a lot of us, we start having sex not long after that, and then the drama starts to come and the heartbreak, and then, I don't know, I guess it's like we're a society people who weren't raised right, who are now in this weird system with all these cultural expectations, and it's like you got to be doing this, but you're battling your human anatomy and what's flowing through you, and your mom's telling you not to do this, and I don't know, but somehow, anyway, just to get back to square one. Relationships are complicated. They are a lot of work. When you're a young person, you have all these responsibilities for school. You're in no position to, if you do have a child, take care of the child, raise the child. You're not even a legal age to really have a job and have your, that's where I guess you just got to look at things for how it is. This is the system we live in. This is the realistic way you got to be about it. But yeah, you start sleeping with somebody, that is where the heart is going to become more involved. And, the day that relationship fizzles out, it's going to be the day that you did your first damage to that person. And again, I think in a way, as a society, we've all been guilty of, using other people in relationships, and we've all contributed to the broken society we now live in. And in a way, we've all kind of been persuaded into it and tricked into it, but it's just a reminder. If you can control yourself, if you're now at an age and a level of understanding, if you haven't realized that maybe you've been doing that to other people, maybe do realize that and try not to do it again. for the sake of doing your part to make a better world. Because, again, brokenhearted people, you don't know what they're going to do. They could commit suicide. They could take out all their anger and frustration on somebody else. And, I could never imagine that two good people in this community would fall off the wagon over a romantic, amount of days from meeting when the truth seekers came together. But that's what happened. And again, it just does serve as a reminder that we got to be better in all of our actions. And as I say that, I know there's a lot of ways that I could definitely be a better person beyond just the topics I'm talking about here in this stream. So let me see if I'm still connected, because it says that the stream has been disconnected. Let me check. Oh, I see what the problem is. Okay, Nathan texted me and said we're loud and clear, and I just got back into the thing, and it does say we're loud and clear. Pale Horse Rider says they knew that a society of strong men would never allow what is happening. That's why masculinity was attacked first. Yeah, again, there's a lot of ways they did it. Again, you got the world wars that are instigated. Now the men aren't around to do the jobs anymore, so you got to put the women in the men's jobs. And then the women get a taste of the work life, and they realize, some of them, that they like it more than the home life. Then you got the women's rights movement, women in the workplace. Then all of a sudden, overnight, the workforce is doubled, so the cost of labor is half. And now you got two parents working for... It's funny how it's actually become. I mean, you go back to the 1950s when pretty much one man worked and women take care of the house. The average American household had more wealth. Just think about that. But then now you don't have a parent in the household. Now you got two parents working. Nobody's home to raise the child, so the state raises the child in slave school. And, who knows what ideas are getting put in the child's head at slave school. Probably not as good of ideas as they would have got at home with the parent who loves and cares about them the most. And, I mean, you just see how it all kind of just, it's like dominoes, right? I'm sure a lot of people, the first time they hooked up with a significant other, I'm sure it might have been right after class, before the parents got home. Pretty sure that's a common story too. Might even have got pregnant then. Probably wouldn't have happened if mom was home. But yeah, it's just dominoes, one thing after the next. And all done in a sneaky way, right? So, yeah, also just one more related thought. Yesterday, he'll come on and tell his own story on his own time because he actually wants to talk about it. But yesterday, and this is the importance of being with somebody who's on the same page in enough categories. These people definitely have things in common. But I think they realize they don't have enough in common. And yesterday, one of them was listening to the news and getting all taken by the news story. And the other one said to him, you got to stop falling for these stories. They're just meant to play with our heads. And they actually said to him, like, you got to start listening more to Zach's work, like I've been telling you. And the person got so mad at him because again, the one person in the relationship listens to my work. The other person thinks it's dumb and asks him to wear headphones when they're listening to my content. But they got into a fight in the car in traffic, and the one person broke up with him in the car and made him get out of the car and told him to walk home and clear out the house because they're living together. And, it's not a pleasant situation to be in, but I also know that person has been, like, unhappy about how different these two, they see the world. And it's just, like I said, well, I think it's going to be good in the long run. I said, I know you guys have the one thing in common, but since you guys are always butting heads over your worldviews, again, there's plenty of fish in the sea. So, yeah, you don't have to stay in a relationship that you're not meant to be in. But I guess, again, that's why you really should make sure that you have enough in common with that person before you become physically intimate. I think that's the mistake most people make. Again, it's that Houdini friend song. The downfall will be becoming lovers before you were friends. And, yeah, so I think I've made all the points that I can really make. And, yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to add on, but I was perplexed because I saw this channel was posting openly that they are going to murder me. And I was like, what in the world? This person wants to kill me? This person was just out in New York with us. I was like, what are they mad about? I've never even had a problem with this person. And I heard through the grapevine that they're mad at me because I do know that I know the girl they met. And, if that girl's out there, by the way, I don't know if you realize how upset the guy is, but maybe you can reach out to him and, I don't know, help him feel better about the situation. I'm not saying you guys need to get back together in a relationship, but he's just so heartbroken, and I guess he wants to take it out on me. And again, there's a thin line between love and hate, so yeah, I was just perplexed. I was like, what in the world? Why is this person posting that they want to murder me? What did I do to them? Oh, the relationship fell apart, so he's taking it out on me. He wants to kill me because his heart's broken. Okay. But that's the way it is, you guys. Love make people have crazy feelings, do crazy things. And I guess the one other warning I could put out there is if you ever date a Gemini, be careful. Be careful. Gemini women, man, they will be playing with your head like no other. That Gemini astrology thing is real. So, and maybe, yeah. Again, astrology. I used to think it was a dumb thing too, but there's a lot of truth in that. And they say cancers are the most caring people. So maybe look for a Cancer if you want somebody to be extra caring. Okay, it says the stream disconnected again, but I think it's just the same old glitch. Yeah, I think that's all for now, True Seeker. I do need to do another live stream because I want to talk about what they're doing with the Tyree Nichols. Tyree Nichols, right? Nichols 5 cents and the 5 officers that supposedly beat him to death, and why the news comes today about the murder charges. You might have saw over in Spain, there's an effigy of a darker complected football player hanging over a bridge. I'll show you why all these things are happening today. I want to talk about that too. Truth Vibration Podcast says he fell in love with the Gemini. Yeah. Yeah? Gemini women, man. Be careful. It's not to say that Gemini women are bad. It's just, man, they are hot cold. That's what I can tell you. They can go from the happiest mood to ice cold in 5 minutes. You're just like, what in the world is going on? You love these stories? Well, I don't feel like I'm speaking well. I think part of it is I see my mom's in the chat. It just makes it more awkward. It's like, God. Anyway. Oh yeah, hold on. Somebody give me a here. Let me look up the definition of simping. This young person word. But because hold on, Urban Dictionary says top definition of simp is someone who does way too much for the person they like. Okay, if that's what the definition is, that would be like an unbalanced relationship, right? If you're having to do way too much for the person that you like, that means the relationship's out of balance. So if you're simping, you're having to work too hard for that relationship. Oh, Daria, first of all, you didn't have to give a super chat, but okay, Daria makes a good point, right? Because you can't stereotype and generalize, and yeah, Daria is as consistent as can be. But I'll tell you what, I've known some Gemini women that are a head case. So, if there's any single men out there looking for a good truth seeker, Daria is definitely one of them. But yeah, sorry, Daria. I wish I didn't say that now because then you wouldn't have given a super chat. You don't need to give any more super chats. But at the same time, I'm glad that you made the point that maybe not all Geminis are alike. I shouldn't say maybe. Obviously, they're not. Daria is always here, super consistent. Never had her, going against me one day and then big fan the next. So I'm curious what your birthday is, Daria. I'm curious if you're a cusp on the verge of not being a Gemini. Um, Gematria 32. He's feeling like he missed his opportunity. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't know Daria was single. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I guess just to wrap it up, if the woman's out there who because I'm sure if she's out there listening, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe reach out to him. Well, I don't know if it's her responsibility. If the guy's out there, I mean, yeah, just again, when you get your heart broken, it hurts in the moment, but again, time heals all things. And and instead of being like, I guess just to close out with this, instead of, because what that guy's writing right now online is, he wants to kill me, and he's writing, fuck the whole Gematria community. It's a satanic community. They're evil people. And again, all of this is stemming from, he met a woman, they had a nice little relationship going, and then she broke up, and he feels confused about why she broke it off. Who knows? Maybe she's a Gemini. I don't know what her birth sign is. But yeah, it's just, you can't blame other people for your problems. That's also just another rule of thumb in life. So yeah, the feminist movement has definitely taken a toll on the classic relationship, because we do have natural rules And people don't want to observe those natural roles anymore. So, and again, for all the good American women in the chat, I don't mean this as a put down, but seriously, if you're having trouble, if you're a man and you're having trouble with like that Canadian band, Stay Away From Me. Isn't it funny? There's a band called The Who and the Guess Who. The Guess Who's the Canadian band. They got the American Woman song. Lenny Kravitz did the remake. But yeah, if you are having trouble having a successful relationship with American women, try meeting a lady from, another culture, because traditional women do still exist. And that's what I realized I'd been missing the whole time, That's why Sweet Lady is just right for me. She is a traditional woman. And the other thing is like, I don't think a lot of guys would be able to deal with Sweet Lady because of how direct she is. She's more, a more fair nickname for her would be Dragon Lady. But yeah, again, you gotta find the person that's right for you. I really like her directness. It's my favorite thing about her, because she's never bluffing. I always know what the score is. So. Everyone should go to Thailand. Well, we all know why a lot of guys go to Thailand. No, Sweet Lady's a Cancer, just like me. We're both Cancers. We're two crabs. Mrs. K, Miss K also gets called Dragon Lady. Funny. I think B Happy Meg saying, I'm an American woman right here who's totally traditional. Yeah, you're a rare breed. All right, you guys, I'm going to end this stream because I don't really have any other thoughts that I haven't already expressed. They'll probably come to me as soon as I end the stream. Animus D, I appreciate the super chat. Yeah, I'm not worried about the threats in the least, but yeah, I was perplexed when I saw the comments, and I was like, how is this even happening? Like, what did I do to upset this person? Man, this person wants to kill me? So, but, I'm not worried about the person who's leaving the comments. Okay, what question from chat do you want me to answer before I end it? Yeah, right, the Matrix found himself a sweet lady. So. Johnny Truth making the pitch to Dari in the chat. Uh-oh. So. But yeah, again, you guys, I do, the one thing that's changed about me in the, if you could go back and dig up the old stream, I've been with Sweet Lady the whole time I've been doing the work, but there was a day where I was talking about how I imagine that, someday her and I won't be together anymore, and I'll probably be with somebody else, because that's kind of how my whole life's been. But yeah, I guess I just, I realized, like, she's a special one. This is a keeper right here, I never thought I wanted to grow old with somebody, but Sweet Lady, she makes me want to just, live a life together, and, someday have a plot in the cemetery next to each other, so. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there. I never would have imagined that my significant other would be from another part of the world, you know. But it's a reminder the world's a big place. By the way, I'm guessing Truth does not exist. Set it up because he set up the love match corner on our old community site. There is a free to find love. If you guys go to freetofindtruth.com, it's our new community site, and I'm guessing Truth does not exist. Set this up. That's my guess because he set up something like this, and some people found some relationships, and I think he found himself a sweet lady on there. So if you guys want to try it out, freetofindtruth.com. Or if you just have a smartphone, another way to do it is you download the Mighty Networks app, which is free, Mighty Networks app, and then just search GematriaEffectNews. And when you download the app, you go into the GematriaEffectNews section, and then once you're in there, you'll see in the menu there's, the free to find love area. So and we do have a few successful relationships that have come together through this community. So shout out to those people too. Oh yeah, I forgot that you guys can't see my screen right now. But yeah, just listen to what I'm saying. freetofindtruth.com. If you're not on there, just fill out the free account information, and in the menu, find the free to find love under the groups section. Or on a smartphone, download the Mighty Networks app, search Gematria Effect News, join that group, and then within that group, once you're in there, then you'll see there's another group section called Free to Find Love. So. Yeah, you know what? Gematria 32, most women like humor. I got to be honest, before I met Gematria 32 in person, he annoyed me a lot in the chat, but he's hilarious in person. He's nonstop comedy. So. But yeah, again, life is better when you have a relationship. And if you have a good relationship, don't get greedy. Because when you get greedy, that's the day you see some cute girl and she gives you the wink, and, next thing you know, you're having relations with her, and then the good thing you already had, you just messed that up, and then the girl who gave you the wink and who you hooked up with real quick, you found out that she was no good because she's giving all kinds of guys winks. Next thing you know, she's cheating on you. So again, if you have a good thing and you know it's a good thing, be grateful you found a good thing and don't mess it up. Because that's the thing, a lot of people do mess up good things. They have a good thing going, but then they get greedy. They want something new, and next thing you know, they got nothing. And I guess you might say that's karma. You messed up the good thing only to have nothing. So Mary Light says, Lil skanks I see these days. The sad thing is, Mary, I don't even think that young women realize they look like skanks, because that's just how the clothes are now. When I first moved to this town, again, I was going to the library a lot because I didn't have an internet connection, and the only place I could get my work done was at the library. And since it's a small town and there's not a lot going on, the kids, they all go to the library after school and they play video games. It's crazy. It's just like, you just see how things change. These kids come busting in out of the high school. They're loud as everything, come in the library. They're playing like Call of Duty or whatever on the computer. I murked you! They're yelling through the whole thing. And then the girls are also in there, and it's just like, oh my God, look at what these girls are wearing. Even this little town, I'd expect things to be more conservative in this town. Girls' boobs are already hanging out. They got these little short shorts on. It's cold outside and they got little skimpy shorts on. It's just like, oh my God, man. Like, I can't even imagine having a daughter. Yeah, don't worry, Johnny. Most people are all talk. Yeah. Well, you're telling me, Mrs. K, you have to see this library scene here. The librarian just laugh when the kids come busting up. Like, back in the day, these librarians would have been scolding us for even just talking out loud in the library. I don't even know what that is, Shark. Shark says, clothes? What about that thoughtishness? I don't know what that is. That's something I don't know about. Thoughtishness. A person that dresses like a thought. I have to get in. I don't know if that's more of an East Coast thing. I don't even know what that is. So. Oh, okay. A thought is another word for a hoe. Okay, I see. I never heard that word before. Thoughts on marrying sweet lady? Well, someday I'll talk more about that. Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, you could think of Sweet Lady and I as married and have been married for some time. But yeah, I'll talk more about that some other time. East Coast term, okay. That's why I'm a West Coast guy. Oh, that hoe over there. Okay, yeah, yeah. That's other advice for you young people, man. Girls that are easy, steer clear of girls that are easy. But yeah, also, you guys, I mean, seriously, don't be a heartbreaker. You know, I brought up Ali Net Void. She told a story on her own channel recently about, back when she was in college, a girl from a wealthy, powerful family that was also in her college kind of stole her boyfriend, and it made her suicidal, Pretty much the most painful thing for people outside of physical pain is a broken heart. And that's why there's a million songs about it. So. Also, other advice is you can't come across as desperate when you're looking for a relationship either, because that is another big turnoff. You don't want to be looking desperate. So if you're both comfortable, the conversation's flowing easily, there's good eye contact, you're making each other smile. That's when you know it's a good fit. So if you're having to pretend to be something you aren't, you've already set up the whole potential relationship for failure. So, well, you don't have to act like you have options. You do have options in this world, right? You have options. Donald Carpenter says forgiveness is the key. Yeah, you'll probably have to forgive people in a relationship too. But if you're having to forgive too much, then there's probably something wrong with that relationship. So, yeah, I think that's the other hard thing about today's day and age. I just see that comment about how everything's through texting. It's just unfortunate that everything has become so electronic and people spend less time out in physical places and so much more time in front of the computer. That's definitely making it harder for people to meet. Facebook didn't even exist when I was in high school. Facebook was something that came out, I think it was my sophomore or junior year of college. And I did not have a Facebook profile at all during college. I saw how dumb it was from day one. But shout out to Gary. Gary's been getting slim. He's been practicing his autophagy. Eyes Wide Shut says, study the Chinese zodiac to make better matches. I'll have to look. I'm not even sure what I am in the Chinese zodiac, and I'm not sure what Sweet Lady is. I'll have to see if that's a good match. Maybe it is. Eric B. He's a family man. Shout out to Eric B. He made my day when he came out to Seattle. I like that Eric B. is a very well-mannered man who tolerates me, but he says, expectations. As a relationship matures, expectations need to be set. Yeah? And I'd say in a way, I mean, you should kind of have those expectations from day one, right? But, I mean, all of us in our mind know what a good person is, what we'd like in a significant other. You want them to be honest, loyal, worthy of you, on a similar level as you, similar ambitions, life goals. Again, you got to have all that in addition to the physical attraction. And, just something, there has to be a level of physical attraction, you guys. Twice in my life, I have dated women that I was not super attracted to. And I did that because they were really cool people. I like their personalities a lot. And, I mean, had I been physically attracted to them, they might have been wifey material a long time ago, but I just was not attracted enough to them. And most people don't even do that, but they were fun, so it's like, have your expectations, like Eric said, and I guess maybe if somebody starts to slip up, maybe say like, listen, I really like being in this relationship, but if this continues, I can't condone this. This isn't going to be for me. We're going to have to go our own separate ways. Coma's on the avocados. Again, avocados, great food. Great food. This new town I live in, all their groceries at this little store are super overpriced except for avocados. They always have a great deal on avocados, so I love it. I don't know why their avocado prices are always so good, but it's working for me. Yeah, Shark makes another good point. All things happen when you're ready. Yeah, that's a thing too when you're younger. There's this pressure to, be in a relationship. I remember when we were teenagers, the term was V-chip. You lost your V-chip yet? You still got your V-chip? Man, when are you going to lose your V-chip? I always thought that was stupid phrasing, but that's what everybody said when I was growing up in high school, late 90s. All right, guys, I am going to leave it there. I said I was going to end it a while ago, but I've been carrying on the conversation with the chat. I do want to do another stream because I want to talk about what's going on in Memphis today. What Truth Vibration podcast also said, I mean, that's also true. I mean, if like you're the kind of guy who's got in his head that he needs beautiful supermodel girlfriend that's the woman of your dreams, to attract women like that, more often than not, you got to have things going on financially, because a lot of women, they do desire a man with strong finances. Not always, but yeah, if you're taking care of yourself and you financially established yourself, that will make you a lot more attractive to a lot of women. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because in the traditional roles, men are the providers. Men are the caretakers. So in a way, by having the relationship be built that way, it is more of a traditional idea. But you don't want a woman that's only with you for your finances, because, you might come home one day and find out that her Prince Charming is in your bed. So there were a lot of attractive women that definitely came out. So again, there is there's hope out there. All right, guys, that's it for now. Have a great rest of your day. Of course, Valentine's Day is coming up. There's some sweet lady out there you've been thinking about asking her out on a date, Single ladies like to get taken out on Valentine's Day. However, here's my advice once you're in a relationship. Once you're in a relationship, skip Valentine's Day, because the restaurants are always way too busy. Your food will take forever to come out. Go the day after. But, yeah, again, have the confidence. If there's a girl out there that you're interested in, that's the other thing too, is just like, a lot of people let opportunities slip by. That's probably becoming more and more common as people are less and less social. But, if there's somebody out there you're interested in, at least give it a shot, because if you don't, it's never going to happen. I remember, speaking of that, when I was at Arizona State, Arizona State, it has a disproportionate amount of super beautiful women to guys. And I just remember I'd see some girls with certain guys, I'd be like, how is that even happening? I was like, that is all because of the ratio here. But again, what I always knew is I was like, that guy had the confidence to, make his move on that girl. You would never believe some of these couples. Like, really? You might also have some money or something. He's packing, I don't know. But anyway, don't be afraid to make the move either. So exactly, 113. Exactly. Don't be afraid of rejection. So the golden ratio. Yeah, maybe in some ways. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. And I will be back in a minute if you want to come back to talk about the Memphis thing. Till next time.